Let's begin with the Mayans. The Mayans understood the importance of the serpent in their timekeeping as a symbol of birth, death, and a rebirth cycle. On their pyramid, a serpent travels from the top to the bottom of the pyramid. As you can see on the right, there is the face of the serpent. Twice a year, at the bottom photo, the serpent is illuminated by the sun, and a shadow comes down the serpent, and it extends actually onto the grounds of Chichen Itza, where the pyramid is built. The Pyramid of Kukulkan at Chichen Itza is known as the Feathered Serpent with 13 Stairways. On August the 12th, 3114 BC, it is noted by the Mayans as the beginning of mankind on Earth. They call it Snake Day. The day the sun was preceded by Venus as the morning star, the mythical birth of Venus. The end date, noted as December 22nd, 2012 by the Mayans, will also be considered Snake Day. Just before sunset, Venus sinks below the western horizon. This is the symbolic death of Venus, indicating the start of a new age. As you can see, the serpent had a great influence upon the Mayan culture. The Maya also worshiped the vision serpent, the median for contacting the gods. In addition, they worshiped Itzam Ye, the serpent bird, which is watching from the four corners of the world at the top of the tree of heaven. And finally, they worship Shiva Koto. Shiva Koto is the fire serpent, meaning returning comet associated with fire and the solar heat. But the Mayans were not the only ones to worship the serpent. From ancient times to today, the serpent has been prevalent. Here is an image of Inanna from ancient Babylon, surrounded by serpents. Then we have Mercury, also known as Hermes, with a pole intertwined two serpents. And here is the Caduceus, the same pole with the two serpents. In the Book of the Dead of Egyptian worship of Osiris, the serpent plays a prominent role. The Federal Trade Commission in Washington, D.C. in modern times has a statue with the image of America the Wise. And finally, even in the auto industry today, Alfa Romeo displays their logo of a cross and a serpent. These are the modern logos of our current health industry, World Health Organization, our medical profession, and the dentistry profession. Notice that each one of these has the Asclepius, the two serpents or one serpent intertwined around a pole, also with circles and triangles. Our modern medical profession is no stranger to the serpent symbol. So where did this all begin? The significant influence on our modern medical symbols come primarily from the Greek god Asclepius from 100 to 150 AD, also known as Hermes, who lived as a mortal man and was deified as a god after his death. The cult of Asclepius grew very popular when pilgrims flocked to his healing temples. Non-venomous snakes crawled on the floor in the dormitories where the sick and injured slept. It was believed he was able to restore the dead to life. The Caduceus symbol goes back to an ancient Egyptian god of wisdom, Thoth. This symbol represents the medical profession and is nearly universal. Thus you can see the influence of the rod of Asclepius upon modern technology. Also related to Asclepius would be the goddess Hygeia, who was the daughter of Asclepius. Hygeia was often pictured holding a bowl with a snake coiled about her body or arm, which led to our current RX mortar and pestle. Ancient times show us the symbol RX was derived from the major lines in the symbol of the Eye of Horus. Horus was the son of Isis, the moon goddess, and Osiris, the sun god. Does the God of the Bible have an opinion about the serpent? Indeed he does. In a message to Moses and the Hebrew people in Deuteronomy 17, it is stated, "If there is found in your midst, in any of your towns, which the Lord your God is giving you, a man or a woman who does what is evil, and served other gods and worshipped them, or the sun or the moon or any of the heavenly host, which I have not commanded, then you shall bring out that man or that woman who has done this evil deed to your gates, and you shall stone them to death." Wow, that is a serious penalty. That is the ultimate penalty. But it relates to the impact that the serpent will have on the world, and God knows that he has to address it with the ultimate consequence. Micah chapter 5, 12 and 13, "And I will cut off witchcrafts out of thine hand, and thou shalt have no other soothsayers. Thy graven images also I will cut off, and thy standing images out of the midst of thee, and thou shalt no more worship the work of thy hands." These texts that refer to the activity of worshiping the sun, the moon, the heavenly host, made by men's hands in statues and images, is evil to God, which is reminiscent of what was stated in Amos chapter 5, verse 13, about 2012, that it is an evil time. So now we have two pieces of evidence related to not only the time, but the intent, that God considers an evil time and an evil activity related to the activities of the serpent. Again, looking at the images related to our medical profession, you need to be clear that the Babylonians and Egyptians believed the serpent was a symbol of resurrection. Does this belief carry into our modern times? No, the medical profession does not believe that the serpent is the answer to health. But the symbols of the medical profession are in harmony with the intent of the serpent, which goes to the idea that the serpent's influence is universal. His purpose is to claim the ability to create and restore life. In the Garden of Eden, he promised through the serpent to Adam and Eve that if they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, they would not die. In essence, they would live forever. Well, we know that is a lie, and in fact he is considered to be the father of lies. Only God can create life, yet the serpent is desirous of doing this, and that is his intent all the way up to the current time. What does the true life giver, Jesus Christ, have to say about the resurrection and life? He says, "I am the resurrection and the life." With Martha, one of his friends, there is an encounter. Martha says to him, "I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day," referring to her brother's death, Lazarus. Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even if he dies, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" And then Jesus proceeded to raise Lazarus from the dead. Jesus has that power in God. The serpent does not have that power, but the serpent would have the world believe deceptively that he has the ability to give life.